Okay, all right. This is gonna be a different one. I wanted to record myself just making a card on this. We're gonna start with this Dragon Air, which actually was commissioned by my little nephew. He wanted a card, and at least he wanted to see me making a card, which is one of the coolest things about having a nephew. That they watch your stuff as well, and they love it. So I'm gonna work on it while I also speak a little bit about my life this week. Therefore, given the fact that I actually was laid off from my previous work a couple of let's say days ago, but everything changes so fast these days, and things are just they are moving in a way that I would not expect it to. Maybe a couple years prior. So it's funny. I also want to show you a little bit more about my life and things that I do, because I don't know. I feel like sharing a little bit more. Maybe you guys can vibe with the things that I like. As you know, as a creator, as a climber as well, and how my life has changed these couple of years just because of a simple action, which was not very simple because of course it took part of my income at the moment, while at COVID. But that action was me buying an iPad and going back to doing art, which is one of the coolest things, right? Like how something material, which yes, at that moment it was something material, brought me back to something immaterial, which was my love for art, and things that I used to love and that I used to do when I was younger, when I was in school. So yeah, let's start with this card. It's a Pokemon card, as you know. It's a Dragonair. I'm gonna start with the base and this part, kind of getting into those basic colors first, and then going into the other part. So this week I was working at a company where I was doing video work for them. I was actually taking their social media, and well, not part of their social media. I was doing Instagram and I was doing TikTok. I was also every now and then doing YouTube content for them as well. It was a company. It's called Drip. It was a company that helps artists distribute their work in the crypto space, which is something that we can talk about as well, because I think it's very interesting, and it's led me to the work that I'm doing right now, and the things that I really vibe with. And yeah, I think they social media wasn't their forte at the moment, so it was I didn't keep the job, but that's okay. It's part of life. I have absolutely no complaints about like the work or my boss or anything like that. They're really cool people. The space changes pretty fast, so it's part of it. And yeah, that's kind of like what happened a week ago. It's crazy because the weeks sometimes in the space that I'm surrounded with, and the place, the places that I usually go to, which is X, and crypto in itself moves very, very fast. So that's kind of why I feel like this week has been crazy fast. It's just things that happen. But luckily for me, after my boss tweeted that I was not going to be able to stay with them, I actually got like 3 different messages from the 3 different people, saying that they wanted my skills or wanted to talk to me about possibilities of work, which is crazy, right? I feel like in any other kind of environment where I wasn't present, I would have not had the possibility where I'm not present, like, having a curriculum and having to go back to something local and all that kind of stuff. I would have probably been out of my mind trying to figure out what to do. And yeah, in the crypto space, luckily everything moves so fast. And I already had an interview. I actually had 3 interviews these days. And I'm lucky enough to say that I'll probably going to start a job next week. So I find that crazy. I feel like it's I'm so grateful, that happens. And yeah, so like I'm not even worried about, jobs anymore because of that, because I don't really have to be out there like actively looking for jobs, and they are coming my way, which is crazy. And what I do is I do videos. I specialize mostly in content for social media, so like YouTube and all that kind of stuff, YouTube, Instagram, and all that kind of stuff. And I know my way through the social media, so that's what people want right now, especially companies that are on X that don't have that speciality of social media, and they don't really understand how to move around that. So that's where I come in, and I try to help them elevate their game in social media, and it's amazing. I really enjoy doing that. But all in all, these colors are kind of hard actually. To let you know a little bit more about myself, I'm a climber. I really like going to the climbing gym. It's kind of like what I do. My goal is at the moment to do a V6. If you're a climber, you kind of know what that means. A V6 at 45 degrees. Right now yesterday I actually did, I believe it was a V4 at 46 degrees, which is not bad at all, but my fingers are hurting a lot. As you can see, maybe over here, my hand is pretty roughed out, and it's part of climbing. It's not like you'd think it is, because it's not that rough. It kind of depends on your skin as well, if you're a climber, to get your hands like super rough. And then also at the beginning of this week, actually I think it was Saturday, I had the opportunity to go and sign some prints, which is something very unusual for me. I didn't really have that opportunity before, and it was crazy, mind-blowing that I could do that, because I love my art. I love the things that I do, and just having people that are excited to get these things, and that buy my work now locally, because the thing about doing art here in Costa Rica is that I believe, at least, that it's not as valued as I would love to, and as I see that it is in other countries. So having that opportunity of getting my job, getting my work signed somewhere, even if it's prints that I had to do for a client, but he is selling with his brand. It's awesome. It's something different for me, and I'm enjoying that. I'm trying to get the best out of it, and trying to do more of that, because it's part of being an artist as well. And the thing about being an artist is that I really one thing that I don't really love, or that I have seen throughout the years, and I don't really love, it's just the fact that most artists online, they do a lot. Like they work their asses off, and they do well, which is fine. But they work their asses off to have like their art on Etsy and their art on Redbubble and all these places. And I don't want to be that. I feel like there has to be a different avenue for us artists that want to have their work collected and enjoyed by different people. And it doesn't really have to be that route, right? Like, hey, this is my buy me a coffee, and buy my stuff here, like buy small little things over here and small little things over there, because that kind of like gives that sense of hustle and that I have to like be every day just working my ass off to have that lifestyle of an artist, right? And I don't know, it just kind of feels like it'll be a lot of work. And I don't judge anybody that does this, because of course it's understandable. You really want to live your life like that. That's cool. It's lovely as well to see like a lot of people wanting small things from you and wearing stuff. But I don't know, I feel like there has to be another avenue for us artists that get their art collected and enjoy it as well, right? So yeah, that's kind of like why I'm sharing my story as well, right? Because I kind of want to vibe with a lot more people that like the things that I do. And it's not necessarily that, right? Like go and buy my stuff somewhere and buy my shit. And yeah, but well, to continue a little bit more about my story, I've always been an artist. I really enjoyed art when I was in school. I didn't think it was going to be like a possibility to become like a full-time per se artist. So I never really pursued art in itself as a career. I actually did architecture when I was studying in university, and from then on, I just kind of like kept doing a lot more art. I focused on photography first and video. And to backtrack a little bit more, I actually was going to do digital animation, but my parents were like, hey, try architecture, it's a little bit more stable than what we believe architecture can be, and you'll have a job, like there's always architects, and digital animation is very it's gonna be very rough because there's not many jobs and blah 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 blah. And I heard them, I understand where they were coming from, and I as well always thought that it was kind of true. And I don't know where my digital animation friends are right now. A lot of them, at least there's a couple of them that I really admire, the things that they're doing. They're doing more stuff and interesting stuff that go with their creativity. And at the end of the day, I finished architecture school, and yeah, I worked for like a year with that and didn't love it. Just the vibe is not nice. People, at least here, I'd have to be like in an office 24/7, and it was not enjoyable. I didn't really enjoy it. So that's where I went with photography. And after doing photography and video for a while, COVID came. I was traveling back then, and I went to Canada and tried my best to do photography and video for a while with people there, and had to come back because of a breakup, actually, which is funny. But yeah, when I came back, I can share more about that if you want to, like more about my life in Canada at that moment. When I came back, not long after that, COVID hit, and we were all jobless because I was doing photography, video, and that's not something that I could do at the moment because it meant being close to people. So yeah, that's kind of like what happened. And then okay, let me see if I can finish this. I don't know where to get this. Okay. And then that's when I got myself the iPad, and that's when I started going back into art and getting into discipline, and understanding that I had to do something with my life, right? My dad came one day into my room, I remember, because I was still living with my parents, at 28 or something, 29, maybe, closing up onto 30s. And he said, like, dude, what are you doing with your life? Like, you should start doing something. So that also kind of like put me in a spot, and I understood, like, hey, right, he's onto something, right? I should do something with my life, instead of just like waiting for things to happen. And yeah, that's kind of like where everything started. I learned full stack, because I was into computers and software and all that kind of stuff. So I learned full stack developing, and went into the rabbit hole of that. Tried to get a job. I did, but didn't really love it at the end, because I don't know, it wasn't what I wanted, what I actually wanted. But I used a little bit of my income that I still had for that, and ended up blowing it. It's all good, I worked a little bit as a full-time developer, and yeah, then I got a job as a video editor on Amazon. And at that moment, I learned about the crypto world, and how to become, a full-time artist, or how artists were doing their art in crypto. And yeah, I started going into that because I felt like it was a new world, and people were actually buying stuff, as like people were collecting work. And that's where, I learned about that world, which is so interesting. And it kind of like, I got so invested in that, and had the possibility to sell a lot of my art, and that world just like changed me, changed the way I was looking at art, and people were really, really enjoying that. So I kept doing that for a very long time, actually, up until now, which led me to find another job, and really, really vibing with the things that were happening there. That other job was the one that I got laid off from like a week ago. But the connections that I made were really, really cool, right? And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Oh, this card is looking really nice, actually. I really enjoy it. What else can I talk about? I want to know, like, what's your favorite Pokemon? That's one of the coolest things to know. And how long have you been looking at Pokemon? Like, are you still onto it, or is it just like collecting? I don't know about you guys. Okay, this is looking pretty cool. So one cool thing that I feel like most artists need to understand when they're doing art is that discipline is one of the biggest and most important things that we have to have as artists, because discipline is what's going to actually make you do art and practice. And it's one of the most overlooked things that we tend to forget that's important. I'm actually gonna do like if it's underwater. Okay. Yeah, so I feel like it's one of the hardest things to keep up with, because we are usually just like trying to do stuff with motivation. Like we wait for motivation to strike, and that's when we actually start doing work. But I feel like we have to understand that motivation is actually pretty. It's not one thing that's going to last forever, right? Like, in order to actually do art and become full time on the things that you love, we actually have to start doing more work, right? Like, we have to doing more without expecting motivation to hit, right? Because if not, we'll never do anything. We'll never accomplish stuff if we're just waiting for motivation to hit. So one thing that I would definitely advise you guys is to start creating habits around work, right? Like, if you're going to do something, start. If you have like a project, put yourself timelines. If you want to I don't know, whatever it is that you want to do, always keep in mind as if you're working for somebody else, right? Like, if you want to really become a full-time artist, you have to understand that nobody's going to be behind you telling you, hey, do this, do that, right? Like, we're waiting for a deadline, where's your work? Like, you have to be that person. You have to be that person that actually is waiting for the work to be finished, and is always on top of yourself, basically. You know, doing the work, making things happen. Yeah, that's one of the biggest things and biggest lessons I learned when with COVID, right? When nobody was on top of me telling me what to do. I had to do it myself, and I had to really push my boundaries and learn new things. Like, I learned 3D as well, right? And it was not something that anybody told me to do. I just, put myself in the position where I kind of like really wanted it. And that's when things started to grow, because I was growing, right? Like, I was doing the work. I was pushing myself into learning something new. And it doesn't really matter what age you're at right now. If you want something, you're gonna have to push through and work for it, right? Like, this Pokemon thing, I started because I really like Pokemon, and somebody told me, like, hey, I got these cards, it'd be cool if you work on something. And I did, and learned. I learned how to do a little bit more of this wash and acrylic, and that's where everything started. I'm gonna pause this one. So if you're studying art out as an artist, don't worry about your age. Don't worry about anything else. Like, don't worry about comparing yourself to anybody, not even myself. Like, I would encourage you to start doing stuff that you like, regardless of anyone else around you, and just learning for yourself, like what is it that you love to do, why are you doing it, and start, right? Like that's the most important thing, because you're going to learn along the way. And yeah, like nothing is stopping you from being your best version, right? Like you are going to learn and you are going to enjoy it, and that's the basis of it. Like nothing else is important. So I encourage you to start. It's never too late. It's never, you shouldn't box yourself into thinking that you won't be able to do it, because you will, and you will learn if you really want to, right? So yeah, that's kind of like my 2 cents about art and creativity. Let's see, I'll put this over here. Even if you like Pokemon, if you want to start like making cards like these ones, do it. Even though you see me doing this, it's not something particularly creative. I feel like there are more people doing it either way, and that's okay. Like if you find yourself the right people, they are going to love it as much as you, and they are going to look at you and the things that you do, and they will ask you for the stuff. They won't go to somebody they don't know because they found you, right? Like that's the thing about connecting with people, is that it's all about who you are. It's like I would say 20% about your work, and if you can connect with people more in that sense, like with your passions and your love of things, it's gonna be easier to sell things, right? Because you are selling your connection with them. You're selling because you have a connection with them, not because your work is your work has to be good, of course, but there are a lot of people that are selling weirdly not as amazing work. Not to judge, but it's because it's them, right? It's because they've made themselves valuable in some sense for the person that's collecting their work. So yeah, it's kind of like my 2 cents. Start, make things, make it happen, enjoy what you're doing more than anything else, because that's the one thing that's going to last, and it's going to make you keep doing more of that, right? Like if you're not enjoying it, then don't do it. Don't do it just because it's going to sell. Do it because you are really, really enjoying it, right? If not, it just doesn't make sense. I feel like most people box themselves into thinking that, oh, this is selling, like I'm gonna start doing that because my work is not selling, and that might sell. And you will definitely box yourself into something that eventually you'll get sick and tired of doing, because it's not your passion. It's just something that sells, and eventually it'll flop, because your energy is not into it, right? So do things that you really, really love to do, and if you don't, stop and do something else. That's my 2 cents. So back to my week. This week was pretty fun. I did an interview for video editing. That's kind of like what my biggest thing, or the thing that most people know me for. And I also had an interview with somebody else that wanted more like a project based thing for their social media. And the last one, which is creating videos for the brand. And funny enough, all of them were successful. So now I kind of have not only to choose, but I have to kind of like split myself with a lot of people, because they all want me, and that's so interesting, right? Like, I'm so grateful for that, and I kind of feel like I've set myself up for that, with the work that I was doing before. It was also something that I knew could be a possibility if I was doing the work that I was doing, because I was putting my face into the videos of that brand, and people were knowing more about me because I was working for them. So I was kind of like expecting that if I was ever jobless, somebody will come and say like, hey, I saw the work that you were doing and I know a little bit more about you, so would you want to work with me? And that's basically what happened. So one thing that I note about that is that the more we put ourselves out there, the more we talk to a camera, the more we talk about our life and expose ourselves more, it's going to be easier for people to find you and know like, hey, this person is reliable, or this person is I've seen this face so many times, I want to work with them, because you are putting your face into that kind of stuff, right? Like you're putting yourself out there, more than just talking about that brand. So I kind of like feel like it was meant to be, because I was putting in that work, you know. Oof, well, this is gonna be rough. Yeah. So if you're into like being creative, put yourself out there, make more face work. I mean, be more present in terms of who you are, so that people, when they find you, they'll be like, oh, this person does this, and I've seen them so many times, kind of feel familiar with them. I think that's kind of like the best way to find people that are going to connect with you, because they already know you somehow, right? Like, they will even tell you like, hey, yeah, I've seen your work, I've seen what you do, I've seen who you are, so I already rely on you somehow. Like, they feel familiar with you, because they know you. So put yourself out there. Don't worry too much about like what people are going to say around you, because everybody will laugh until you're being successful, right? Like, when you're somehow successful, they'll be like, oh, I want to do that, right? Like, it's always the same story, and you'll hear about that all the time. Like, hey, I was, first they hate you, then first they laugh at you, then they hate you, then they want to work with you, right? Like that. It's kind of like the same thing all the time, right? Like, people will always judge until you're more successful, and then they want to see like how to do the same things that you're doing, because they thought that was impossible, that what you were doing were impossible. But you're so relentless about what you're doing, and you're so relentless about the work that you do and how you do it, that eventually they'll come around and say like, oh, I've seen your work and so cool, right? When you get the followers, everybody's onto your work and they love you, it's just like the circle of life as a creator. And I feel like not many people get that involved into creating work with their face on, because they fear being judged. And I understand it, but who cares about anyone else, right? Like, who cares if they're gonna judge me for the things that I'm doing if I'm earning from it, right? Like, I'm earning money because people are watching my stuff. Like, why do I care if they're going to judge me or not? Right? Even like this Pokemon thing. I feel like some people might judge me just because it's Pokemon, right? Like, oh, you never moved from that age. And I'm like, yeah, I don't fucking care. I sell these cards, somebody wants them at some point. So like, why would I care about their opinion about it, right? Like, who freaking cares? Like, I'm selling these, and people are enjoying it. There's a whole lot of people out there that will enjoy the content and will enjoy the things that you're doing. It will enjoy buying your stuff, because if you like it, it's almost granted that there's gonna be other people that are going to love it as well, right? So don't worry too much about it. I'll add some. Let's see if I can find that other color. It's actually black. There you go. Yeah, this was almost finished, and I thought it was gonna be a lot harder, but they're getting easier by the moment. I don't know why. Probably because I'm doing these consistently, and it's lovely to see that progress as well. I really enjoy that. Okay, I'll do a line, dark line over here, just to say, this is the where the camera is. For a sec. Okay. This is so cool. I'm almost finished with this one, and it looks lovely, actually. Freaking love it. Dragonair. Make some reflections down there, I like if it's light coming in from above the water or something. Actually do like light rays. Okay, we're almost finished over here. It's turning out so well. Yeah, I would love to know, like, what would you want to see as well? Like, would you want me to show you more about like how I learned on how to do these, or who are my inspirations? I've seen a lot of these on social media. Not a lot, I would say like one or two, but some are really cool. Other ones I don't know, not as cool. But I feel like everybody could do these if you start, just make a feel about like what do you want to express on these cards, and just enjoy that process. I feel like it's very therapeutic. Yeah. All right, this one is almost done. I feel like it's actually pretty done. Not gonna lie. Just add some details over here. I'm fully invested now. Kind of hard to talk with while I'm doing this. I might need like a sharper one of these, sharper pen or thingy, so that I could actually paint over here. I feel like one of the hardest things about this is just getting lines done, and I don't know. I don't think it's really hard. It's just like layering and layering, and eventually you'll get there, right? Just if you have attention to detail. Oh yeah, I guess the hardest thing that I was gonna say is going into detail and matching colors. It's probably one of the hardest parts about this. I'm almost done. Yeah, and doing like very, very small things. That's kind of like one of the roughest parts. Because I cannot like zoom in, and I don't have like fine pens. So like just zooming in would be awesome. I'll add just like small details over here. Just to finish that off. Maybe a little detail over here. Finish the line. The Pokemon. Sun's almost done. More bubbles. More bubbles. More bubbles. It's pretty warm over here in Costa Rica as well. Having the light just on top of me is pretty rough. I'm glad I'm not like sweating a lot. Oh, one thing that maybe people might wonder is why, if I'm from Costa Rica, why do I speak in English? And I guess the answer to that is that I kind of want to appeal to more people. Most people that speak Spanish also speak English, so it just makes sense for me, right? Like, why would I hinder myself with just Spanish speaking people if I can talk in English? And it's not that I don't want to appeal to Spanish speaking people, it's just that it makes more sense for me. It makes a lot more sense. Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at in that sense. But maybe there's Spanish speaking people that want my content as well in Spanish. I feel like eventually I could do something in Spanish instead of just in English. But we'll see, I feel like there's so much time that I could do anything I want. And you should feel the same thing. Like if you're feeling like your time is being wasted and you're not doing the right thing, and don't worry about that too much. just start. Like, today is the best day for you to start doing stuff that you really enjoy. Tomorrow is gonna be too late. Like, just do things and get out there and do your stuff, do your thing. Oh, I also have a cat, by the way. She's gorgeous. She's pretty chill. She pulls my hair. She's a little bit feral in the sense that she escapes every now and then. She also pees in my furniture. So I try my best to be patient. I don't know. I might need to find her at home because I travel too much, and I will be traveling for this new job. So we'll see what happens. I feel like I could be like a foster home for now, and eventually she'll find like her like forever home. But we'll see. I don't want to say things that might not be for the future. Yeah. I mean, I hope you're enjoying this conversation, and I really hope that you go out there and start making your art and start enjoying that as much as I do, and we can keep connecting. This video got pretty long already, but that's okay. Okay, I might be stepping on the wrong direction over here with if I keep like doing more stuff. I should probably stop and just let it be like this. Cool. Alright, I think this card is finished. Almost. We're almost there, guys. Be patient. Almost there. Okay. And I'll finish with this. Awesome. So, yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you enjoy this content, yeah, thumb it up, and we can keep vibing and doing maybe another card next time. If you have any suggestions about another card that I could do, put it in the comment section, and I'll see if I'll see if I have it, and I can work on that. Okay. Ooh. Dogs are barking so much right now. I feel like it ended up real nice. How does it look? Yeah. I think it turned out really well. Might need to detail this a little bit. Working with pure black is kind of rough sometimes. I feel like I might work with this. Hell yeah. I think that's better. All right. That's my card. That's Berrettini. Hope you enjoy it. Yeah. Will probably be up for sale at some point. But not to you guys. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this conversation. If you stayed up until the last moments, appreciate you very much. I'll probably just end up doing a little bit more, but we'll see. And yeah, have a great day. Peace.